We begin like this with one of our very favorites. In the business, they call him Finchy. Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. And here's the head coach, gracious and nice enough to join us this Wednesday morning. 10 to play, and tonight is a big one at Target Center against the Houston Rockets, who are a half game behind Finchy's team in the Western Conference standings. Chris joins us now. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Right on, man. Thank you very much for the phone call. I know you got a big day today. Fun win at Boston. That was a fun win, man. Held the Celtics to 92. Holy cow. In what way is Bones Highland embracing the added playing time and responsibility?
Well, I think, Bones is a hardwired scorer, and he can really put the ball in the basket. He can do it in a variety of ways. He plays with great pace, and he's really been kind of the guy to pick up the scoring where we're missing Anthony, and he's not only just done it with good scoring numbers, but he's also done it with timely scoring. Like, he's come in off the bench and really kind of given us a jolt when perhaps we've struggled to score coming out of the gate. So I think that's like the biggest thing, and then. Throughout a long run, he's playing kind of long shifts right now, and he'll have multiple spots during that shift where he'll score. But I really love what he's doing with just the pace in general, and the chemistry that he has with Io right now is pretty high level for being so new together.
I was going to get to that. I mean, it's being so new together for sure. It's just high level. I mean, how confidently and cohesively those two play together. And, Sunday at Boston, I know Nas missed that Friday night game against Portland, and, it's a conversation for a different time. Nas Reed and his ferocity on Sunday, how about that? I mean, he played with his hair on fire.
Yeah, he was awesome. I mean, he struggled early on, as expected. You missed a couple games in the NBA, and you can surprise how rusty you get. You're coming back into a race where everyone's going 100 miles an hour, and you're trying to get up to speed. But he kept sticking with it. Everything he did was aggressive. Then he caught his little run just right when we needed it most. I thought he's done that a couple times. We had a big game in Denver a few weeks earlier. You were there, and he kind of struggled early, and then caught fire late and was kind of the difference maker offensively for us.
Coach Finch, you've been harping on them a bit to rebound better, and Ayo Dosunmu clearly was listening, man. 8 boards a game the last 4. 8 boards a game the last 4. In what ways does that help you guys win games?
Well, our defense, our first shot defense is a top 5 defense in the league. Our defense overall has fallen to kind of 8-9 range, which is, it's largely just being drugged down by our inability to rebound consistently. And, Rudy off the floor, we've really struggled at times. And when I've always maintained that, like, when, you're never going to be a really good rebounder until your guards are great rebounders, just because the nature of the game right now is so many long shots, threes, long rebounds, people crashing from the perimeter in waves more so than they ever have done in the past. So your guard's got to join the rebounding party.
Jaden McDaniels has 56 shots the last 4 games. 56 the last 4. He had 62 shots the 8 previous. He's made 7 threes the last 4, and that's more than he made the last month of games. Is Jaden McDaniels playing as freely right now as you've seen maybe since that Denver win where I saw you a few weeks ago?
Oh yeah, I think right now, he didn't shoot the ball well coming out of the gate in Boston, but I think just knowing the ball was going to keep coming his direction and sticking with it, and he made a really big one out of a timeout. Three out of timeout that we desperately needed to go in. He needed to see it go in too, and that kind of got his mind right. And yeah, he's playing really good offensive basketball right now. He's playing great at both ends, as he always does.
Any idea when Anthony comes back?
Nothing definite yet. I think tomorrow we get another update. So
he was out there on the court shooting. I think I saw on the social media machine. Right, that's a good step.
Yeah, absolutely. He's out there. He's started his return to play protocol. So yeah, he's definitely out there doing some basketball things.
And speaking of that, speaking of him, last week we talked about Edwards watching things from afar and maybe seeing some eye-opening stuff. Is it fair to say when the ancillary players you have are more involved, things are at their best, not only for Anthony, but for the team?
I think you could say that for any team,
right.
For sure. Like, I'm just a huge believer in that, everybody, basketball's a highly connected sport. Everybody's got to be a part of what we're doing. I think 5 guys work for one shot every single time down. I think that everyone has a part to play, whether it be, spacing, moving, cutting, screening, passing to each other. All that stuff matters. I think what we need to maintain when Anthony comes back is our pace is really good right now. Our early movement is really good right now. And, these are things that we've done with him as well. But consistently at this time to develop that rhythm that we'll need heading into the postseason.
Chris Finch, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. Finchie's on the board, so twoharvest.org if you'd like to help, that'd be cool. And also Prize Picks. I mentioned it earlier in passing. You guys held the Celtics to 92 points. I mean, and it was Tatum, Brown, Derek White, so they got their NB3 there. What played into that? That was spectacular.
Well, I think, our on-ball defense, our one-on-one defense was really, really good. That's where it starts with Boston. They're just heavy ISO team with great players who can break you down and get their own shot and create for each other. And then that starts a chain reaction and usually leads to a high number of 3-point shots. So if you're really good there and don't give them second shot opportunities, you got a chance. And, we've got good one-on-one defenders that way. And, they took the challenge, and they were outstanding.
How Julius Randle? How does Julius respond to hard coaching? And I ask that because I know you guys go back years to your New Orleans days, and on this radio show and other places, you always have just voiced loudly that you love his game, you're quite fond of him, and you guys go far back. So, when the coaching is hard with him, how does he respond?
He's great. I mean, he played for Calipari in college. Like, he's used to hard coaching. He played for Tibbs in New York. Like, these guys are truth tellers. And he wants that, I think, we're lucky in that regard, everything still remains. I do love his game. I know how important he is for us. He's extremely important. I thought he played really good the other day. He just didn't connect. His shot just didn't go in, but everything else we needed him to do, he did. He rebounded at a high level.
Yep.
He guarded at a high level. We still were able to generate offense through him. He stuck with it. He made big 3 down the stretch. He helped us close that game. And that's the way you want guys like your best players to respond. 9
rebounds at the Garden for Julius. Hey, I don't exactly know what the rules are here, Chris, but if I bring up a college player's name, can you talk about him?
I prefer not to.
All right. Well, let's go in code because you just mentioned John Calipari. Well, I'm Paul Allen, so I'm PA. There are a lot of people in the world with initials DA. And they happen to be young, fresh into the scene. I mean, Calipari, let's just say, has some good players, doesn't he?
Right. Sure does. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the tournament. I don't pay too much attention to college basketball throughout the season. I see it from time to time. As we get to this point, like the front office will, clue me in on some people to maybe watch, and or I'll certainly ask questions like, hey, tell me about this guy and that guy, and because it's a lot easier for me to watch basketball with these, the tournament games these times because they're so high profile, and you know exactly where to find everybody. So
yeah, likewise. I mean, like if you have a nice shirt, you may have a cuff for your sleeve, and holy cow, I don't watch college basketball either, so a lot of this is new to me. And I'm like, holy cow with this kid. Anyway, 3-2. Chris Finch, second Harvest Heartland Prize Picks. What did that Schengen triple-double at Chicago look like on film? I mean, the Bulls' defense ain't great, but still, despite losing, and you got Houston tonight, he chewed them up. Holy cow.
Well, I mean, he's a tremendously skilled player. I mean, he's an offensive system unto himself. He can score. He's got touch. He can shoot from inside, outside. He can pass. He's really good in the pocket when they give him the ball and against pressure at the top of the floor. It's funny, like the times that we've played them over the last few years, whoever kind of wins the matchup between him and Rudy has kind of won the game. So he's a handful because he has a lot of game.
With the Rockets, Chris, with Amen Thompson, are they kind of like you guys? And I know Van Vliet's down for the year, but with Thompson, are they kind of like you guys in that they don't have a traditional point guard? And if so, how does that factor into the way they play?
Yeah, they're very much, they very much operate around a traditional point guard. But you can even extrapolate that out, like to Sengun is a primary playmaker for them as much as anything in the center of the floor, just the way that we use Julius. They have a potent scorer that commands a lot of attention and he gets the ball early in the offense all the time, just like Anthony does for us. That's obviously Durant I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Thompson, he handles. He's like a one-man fast break. They do a really good job of playing him at the bottom of the floor in the dunker along the baseline. He's elite. I think the numbers will tell you he is the best offensive rebounding guard in the history of the game. So wow. He's just a force there. So the things that he can do well, he's elite at, even though he's not necessarily a true point guard. They use him in a very smart and strategic way.
And I'm glad you mentioned Durant. Julius and Durant had an epic scoring battle when you guys met a couple of months ago. Each went for 39. Yeah. KD shot 14 free throws that game. He's almost 38 years of age and still scores with the best of them, doesn't he? Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible to watch. Like, his game is extremely smooth and polished, and it just feels like every time he shoots it, it's going to go in. And that's, as a coach, it's kind of a crummy feeling because it feels like you can't really bother him all that much. He's just such great length, unbelievable touch. He makes hard shots look easy.
All right, last two here, ma'am. I appreciate you. Wolves and Rockets tonight, Target Center. Do you think the Rockets are going to play Hacka Rudy again this time? Hacka Gobert. He shot 10 free throws that January game. Sadly, he only made 2, and it really factored into the loss. You think they're going to do that tonight?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's every chance. I think sometimes people wait to see how Rudy's been shooting him through the game before they decide to do that, but. Generally, most teams wrap Rudy up if he's around the basket and make him earn it from the free throw line.
After tonight, last one, only 3 left at home in the regular season. And from the Lakers down to the Rockets, with you guys in Denver in between, Joker had just a nasty triple-double last night. What an absolute battle it's going to be for the 3 and 4 spots and home court. What do you like about the way you guys are playing right now?
Well, I think for us, it's, our defense is really, it feels like it's really kind of found itself in terms of its consistency. We know what it's going to look like every time down the floor. I like that. I feel as I've felt all season, we're capable of winning, anywhere against anybody, but, we're also capable of the opposite. So, but I think, our focus has been pretty good right now. I think the Portland game, wasn't great. We struggled offensively there a little bit. We struggled to rebound, but everything else we did, I thought was kind of on point. It wasn't a game plan issue or anything like that. It wasn't like an execution issue. It was literally just had to go get the ball a little bit more when we made them miss shots. But if we can rebound like we did the other day against Boston, if we can do that consistently, we're going to be just fine.
Chris, have a great day and tear up the Rockets tonight. We'll talk next week.
All right, thanks, GA. Take care.
Yep, yes, sir. See you later. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org and Prize Picks. It's 9:17. I'm Paul Allen. Max Fuller fills in for Nordo, who I believe returns tomorrow. And a part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list includes Hynes. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, 30 minutes from now. P-Fox around the corner. HOF hockey player Tony Granato. He's going to join the show an hour from now and chat some puck. And local agent Blake Barretts of Institute for Athletes will be in studio at about 11 a.m. Good morning. It's Wednesday. It is 9 to noon.
Fan. The tournament is underway. Don't miss a second of the action. Tune in to 96.7 KFAN Plus and on the free iHeartRadio app for hoops coverage driven by Dave Smith Motors.
All right, Max. We got P-Fox in here at Parker Fox 24. Max Fuller, Parker Fox. It's the Surrogate Covenant at 9:23 KFAN. Two of my and our favorite kids / young adults / adults. And Max ran over to my desk this morning excited that he pulled some elite audio, and it involves the Minnesota Wild game last night, and it involved a fight involving Nick Foligno. And here's how it sounded at FM 100.3 KFAN with Joe O'Donnell on the call.
And a 2-0 lead for the Wild late in the first in Tampa. And we got another fight. It's Nick Foligno and Scott Sabourin. They've dropped their gear out at center ice. Nick Foligno, his first fight with the Wild. Sabourin, the cagey minor leaguer who loves to mix it up physically.
Yeah, 6'3", 205 pounds.
Staring each other down. Left by Sabourin. Big rights by Foligno. Big lefts by Sabourin. They're both chucking him at center. Rights by Foligno. Left by Sabourin. Sabourin some lefts. Missing with an uppercut. Foligno ties him up. Left by Sabourin. Big left by Foligno. Missing the left was Sabourin. Couple of good shots by Foligno. Another swinging left by Sabourin. They've kind of extended each other out. Helmet is off for Sabourin. Foligno's got a good grip on the scruff of his jersey. Another left by Sabourin. Nothing there. Foligno's got him stretched out, waiting for another opportunity. Came with a left in Foligno, and he caught him. And they are hanging on here, both parties at center. Another left by Foligno. Couple of rights. Oh, a combo there by the veteran Foligno. He's got Sabourin in some trouble. Sabourin coming back with a left. Foligno trying to duck out of that. What a scrap. And they'll separate them.
That
awesome.
Covenant Claps team.
Yeah.
Covenant Claps team.
Certainly.
I can't claim to have heard a lot of fight calls in my day. Likewise for you.
Yeah, same.
If there's better, I need to hear it.
I know.
That was spectacular work by Joe O'Donnell on that call. Well done.
I have heard a lot of fight calls, and that sounded just like them.
Right.
You're calling a hockey game, and now you got to call a fight, just like that.
But think about it, and Max is. Are you more into MMA or boxing or both?
Well, these days more MMA, just because boxing is kind of dead. But historically, boxing was one of my first loves in life.
That's what I was going to get to, because that fight there, where they legitimately both took a breath during the fight when they were holding the jerseys, spinning around, and then they went at it again. I mean, that's like the best fight anybody's seen since Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard.
I always love that.
We got to go back. I mean, Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas. Mama said knock somebody out. I mean, that was a good fight and a wonderful, wonderful call, man. Thanks for finding that, Max.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a little no rumble in the jungle, but I mean, it was a tussle in Tampa for sure.
Have you seen When We Were Kings, the movie?
It's one of the most unbelievable documentaries of all time.
Yeah, it was Ali and Frazier in was it Zaire?
I believe it was Zaire, yeah.
And see the like you started the show with Parliament Funkadelic and what was the name of the song?
One Nation Under a Groove.
One Nation Under a Groove, getting down just for the funk of it. So that's back to the 70s with that music. And that has been, when we play songs like that, old school R&B has been the rhythmic motif of the 9 to Noon radio show.
Yeah.
in the documentary When We Were Kings, the Spinners.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, a band called the Spinners, I think from Philadelphia. They, were like 8 years into their career. Barrero with I'll Be Around, the closing song. I believe it's the closing song.
It is, yeah.
For Bumper to Bumper with Barrero. That's the Spinners. It's a Shame, a montage song that 9 to Noon has used a million times. Rubber Band Man, things like that. So the Spinners are R&B immortality. Well, they're all over that documentary When We Were Kings. So that throws it back to those days, man. But watch that for sure if you haven't seen it. When We Were Kings.
Okay, on my list.
Documentary about Ali and Frazier. Pete Fox, at Parker Fox 24. Back to hockey in a second. Actually, Hynes joins about 20 minutes from now, so save hockey for them. Off the Finch conversation, Parker, you sat in here and listened to it. Big one for the Wolves tonight. Boys, Maxwell included. Wolves are 2 behind the Lakers for 3rd in the West and a half game behind Denver for 4th, home court advantage in the first round. And all the pertinent teams are in play tonight. So here are the things for which we're rooting, boys. Minnesota to beat Houston. Can we get the Indiana Pacers to jump up and stun the Lake Show? Can we get the Pacers to jump up and stun anybody with Parker's guy Jay Huff? And can we get Cooper Flagg and his Dallas Mavericks to jump up and stun the Denver Nuggets? Good morning, Parker Fox. That would be nice if we had some upsets tonight.
That would be fun. You look at the Western Conference right now, and you kind of sit 10 games from the playoff, and you think, where do you want to be, right? What team do you want to see? And I know you can't always, pick your lot in life. You can't always pick the team you're going to play, but we can start to speculate. And I look across the board, and I look at the way the Lakers are playing right now, and I get a little scared, PA, because the way Luka Doncic is playing right now, currently in his state, he had 100 points over a 2-game state. He's playing at a huge level. LeBron's playing well. Austin Reeves is playing well. I don't want to see them. And then I go to Denver and I think, we've had Denver's number over the past couple of years. We like playing them. We match up well against them, but that's a dangerous first round matchup as well. So then I go to Houston and I look at the Houston Rockets and I say, this isn't a team that shoots a 3-point shot really well. They shoot a lot of deep twos.
Okay.
They get to the rim, but they offensively rebound really well. So if you can take that aspect of Alfred Sengun, you've seen his game. It's the tips, it's the Jokic, it's all the stuff around the rim. So if you take the offensive rebound out of the equation, I really like the matchups that the Timberwolves have against the Houston Rockets.
All right, this is good with Pete Fox. We're going to marathon it. And thanks to Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com, providers of our marathon segments. And it's blue skies for today. Still a tiny bit on the chilly side, but it's warming up. And grilling weather and grilling season is upon us. So there's special pricing on top brand grills at Steve's Appliances, and a lot of money to be saved specifically beginning April 7th. So take a look at the website, stevesappliances.com, stevesappliances.com. Max, yesterday, when we were freewheeling at the end, I brought something up in passing to you. Parker just touched on it. Like we need to get our focus on exactly what we think of the LA Lakers. All right. Now, they had the audacity to take a loss the other day because they had won like 9 in a row.
Yeah, no.
Luka, if Luka doesn't win the MVP, I'm not going to be offended. But like I said yesterday, he came into the league in shape and skinny, and he's still in shape and skinny. So he's paying attention to that. He has an off-the-court distraction and personal life situation that's incredibly heavy, involving children and custody. That's on his mind. He's playing through it. His dogs are elevating him. But for me, the single biggest factor that has me fearing the LA Lakers, if I'm an adversary, is it's clear LeBron James has accepted the number 3 role in an MV3, where he's like, got to make Luka better, got to make Austin Reeves better, and then we got me. And then you got Marcus Smart trying to lock people down, does a pretty good job at it in the later stages of his career. So, what do you think of the Lakers if we... Oh, wait a second. I'm howling with the homies.
Hey!
I'm howling with the homies on Fan Line.
Hootie hoo!
I'm howling with the homies.
Yes, sir! sir.
That's right. Wolves fan line, Howling with the Homies.
Come on.
So let's go to the host of Howling with the Homies, then we'll get to the analyst. The Lakers, your thoughts?
I'm totally in agreement with you and Parker. I'm not super, a year ago we watched what the Wolves did to the Lakers, but this is not the Lakers of a year ago. They've figured it out, because I think that kind of was the biggest conundrum coming into the season, is what is going to be this dynamic with Luka Doncic, who's obviously in the prime of his career, and LeBron James, who clearly is not. And then with LeBron being gone, it's one of those things. It's an overused thing in sports media where we say, well, so-and-so's injury could be a silver lining. And LeBron James being injured is never a silver lining, but this Lakers team really learned how to play in sync with one another without LeBron being a part of that. And it's a lot easier for LeBron James to adjust to what they have going on than for them to try to figure out their kind of ecosystem with LeBron James in the mix the entire time. So I think he kind of had no choice but to accept that third role in that Lakers lineup. And that's a dangerous LeBron, a LeBron that's only focus on elevating his teammates, something he's been excelling at for his entire career, something that people used to criticize him for because he wasn't Kobe and Michael Jordan and give me the ball in every single situation. He's always been that guy that's thinking about making the best play, and now that's all he has to focus on, essentially. He doesn't really have to carry that scoring load on his shoulder anymore, because the Lakers have Luka Doncic, they have Austin Reeves, and the Wolves happen to have this year and over the last couple of years really a guarding problem.
P. Fox, don't fail me now.
Well, I love what Maxwell has to say. And you look at a LeBron James that has taken the load of passing and maybe a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball, but he's playing 35 to 42 minutes a night.
LeBron?
Yeah. He's playing a lot. Well, they don't want to really go past 7. They're sitting at a position where, you got Rui, you got Marcus Smart, you got LaRavia, you got Luke Kennard. But past that, it's a little spooky for LA. And that's something I think we're in a 7-game series against a deeper Timberwolves team where you want to go Bones and you want to go Io. But hey, if you have to, you can go Terrence Shannon and Jalen Clark on the defensive end as well. So I think that's an advantage for the Wolves. But when you look at the Lakers as a whole, it's going to be Luka Doncic. It's going to be ball in hands, get out of the way, mix in a little Austin Reeves here or there, set a ball screen with DeAndre Ayton. But when it comes down to the final couple minutes, it's winnings time. It's Luka time.
Ant's out there taking shots, so his return seems to be relatively near. As I mentioned with the coach, Chris Finch, in the last segment, tell me what you guys think about this. Howling with the Homies. Jaden McDaniels, I've just convinced myself that he has to become more of an offensive factor when Edwards returns. And the reasoning of getting there may not be completely acceptable, where it may be, hey, if Ant and Julius are gunning, and DiVincenzo, if they're all gunning, and they're all good at what they do, and Jaden gets shut out of the mix a little bit, gets a little quiet, gets a little distant, is not the most engaged during the games, unless he seems to be included offensively. And Jaden can score. So maybe when Ant returns, maybe the secret to that sauce is finding a way to make sure McDaniels, who won't have the A, B, or maybe C defensive matchups, gets himself in one-on-one positions and is more consistently involved offensively. What do the homies think?
I totally agree with you. And I think the Wolves actually were asked about this the other day, as kind of ball movement or lack thereof has been one of the consistent Achilles heels of this Wolves, specifically this iteration of the Wolves, but over the last couple years in general. And Rudy was actually talking about this post game, I believe after the Celtics game, and he was talking about how the lack of ball movement not only affects the offense, but can affect the defense as well. Because when guys aren't getting the ball, they're kind of just sitting there. They end up, we've seen it watching the game. Sometimes these guys end up watching Anthony Edwards just like the rest of us. They're just standing around there, and obviously you're not getting that energy. You're not feeling like you're a part of it. You're not as locked in if you're not feeling like you're included on the offensive end. So it obviously ends up in turn affecting the defensive end. And I think Jaden McDaniels is probably the most clear and obvious example of that. And if we can get Jaden some more touches, also I think that's kind of addition by subtraction, because that would in turn, I would assume that would mean less touches for Julius Randle, who I'm not trying to knock on here, but he hasn't been shooting at a very efficient clip lately. So maybe less touches for Julius equals more touches for Jaden equals a more efficient Wolves offense.
Howling with the homies.
Well, we highlighted it on Monday as well, PA, is using the shot clock, right? Like if you can get out and transition, you can score in the first 5 to 7 seconds of the shot clock, do it. But then it doesn't have to be at the 10 to 14 second mark. A shot has to come up because we can't run our offense or the first initial action didn't work. So now Anthony Edwards has the ball in his hands and it's isolation creation time. Like, that's not necessarily what this offense has to be. And I think we've seen that over the past couple of games without Ant in the game. There's been more flow. There's been more action. And I 1,000% agree with the both of you. Jaden McDaniels is an offensive threat. Like, if you look at the stuff from high school into college early in his career, and now he's been such a great defender, so he's kind of been touted as that. And here he is as this defensive prowess. But like, this guy should be shooting the ball 10 to 12 times a game. And I know that might be a little high for some people to like, but like, there's no reason not, because he's such a threat offensively, 3-level. He can do that little slow step at the rim. He's long enough to finish at the rim. He's decent in the mid-range, and when he's open from 3, he's knocking down shots, especially in the corner. So I think when you look at the evolution of the Timberwolves offense, continue to push in transition. Use Io and Bones and Ant when he comes back, and Jaden in transition. That's good for your game. But then if not, run through an offense. Don't be afraid to go late into the shot clock.
And don't you think, Parker, that at least more so in the regular season, we've seen flashes of it in the playoffs, but more so in the regular season this year than previous years, we've seen way more flashes of Jaden being that offensive threat that we've been asking for the last couple of years. And obviously, he was a huge X factor in last year's playoff run as well. So I think if it's there, obviously it's bubbling up. It's waiting to just reach the surface there.
2.5 minutes. P. Fox, you're an elite college basketball mind. Max, do you watch a lot of the NCAA tournament?
I try to tune in as much as possible, but Parker, I mean, this is Parker's lane. Let Parker cook right here.
All right, let's roll through this in 2.5, 3 minutes. P. Fox on lead vocals, and here they are. Who do we like and why? 11 Texas and 2 Purdue.
Yeah, I love Purdue. Big Ten is representing here in the Sweet 16. Purdue 7.5-point favorites. I think they're just too much. You go with the best point guard in the country, in my opinion. I know Darius Acuff is the young, he's the hype, but Braden Smith's the passer. He's the truth. NCAA assist leader. He's a guy that he can do it at all levels. And then you go Fletcher Lawyer with him on the wing. They're just too deep in the backcourt. Texas doesn't have the experience that Purdue does.
Iowa's a 9, Nebraska's a 4. Big Ten matchup here. It's kind of cool.
How fun is this, huh?
I love it. Who do we like and why?
I think
this is a super low scoring game.
It's going to be a meat grinder. It's going to be 2 elite coaches, one that we love here in Minnesota, and Fast Freddy. And I think this is going to be a matchup that everybody's going to be excited to watch, because it's going to be grown man basketball. The whistles are going to be swallowed. Like, this is going to be pounded in the paint and then hit the shots from the outside. Iowa has the best player in Bennett Sturts, but Nebraska has the better team. They're too deep. They're too big.
Sturts better than Sanford?
Yeah, Sturts is going to be. I mean, they're both going to be NBA players in my opinion. Yeah. But the way that Bennett Sturts can control an offense with the ball in his hand, Stanford's the best shooter left in the tournament. I go Nebraska in a close one.
Arkansas is a 6, Arizona's a 1. Who wins and why?
Well, I hated when it came out with the 10.5-point spread. It's down to 7.5 now, which I think is a little bit more fair. You got 2 elite coaches in Lloyd and Calipari here. I think Arkansas again has the best player in Darius Acuff Jr. But Arizona's too deep. Koa Pete, some of their bigs, and then Bradley, their point guard. I'm always pro experienced point guard. I love Bradley, and I think Arizona gets it done.
I'm out of time, and do me a favor, put off the 9 to noon conversation. Can you put on @ParkerFox24 with these 8 games who you think's going to win? Got it. And I'll retweet it when I see it, okay?
You betcha.
Lastly, before you leave, we got to get this out of the way because it potentially is a problem with P. Fox. A Dustin Baker tweeted Kyler Murray is 0-5-1 versus the Packers and Lions during his career. Parker retweeted it. Why the hate, bro?
I retweeted it because he's due. He's due for one. Regression of the mean. Like, there's wins that need to be happening.
I mean,
and they're here.
What's your next tweet with Kyler going to be? You know, some 5'1" person running around baggage claim at an airport,
bobblehead,
looking for a big wheel.
That was an elite Parker Fox spin move out of that box, though.
Yeah, right?
You tried to box him up. He spin moved out of it.
He's due, man. He's due.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were howling with the homies. Parker Fox, Max Fuller, the producer today. Tell banker Tim Siegley and everybody else at First Resource Bank Minneapolis, I say hello.
You bet.
Missed them all, and I'll stop by there sometime and say hi. God bless you, Taylor, and your families, and I'll see you soon.
Love you both.
Love you too. Parker Fox. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, is next. Hynes, John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins us now. 2 to go on the road this week. Dropped one last night at Tampa Bay, and the 6-3 score is not indicative of how the game went. Nevertheless, it's still a loss, and Hynes joins us now. Coach Hynes, Paul Allen, good morning. How are things?
Hey, PA, good morning to you. All good down here in Florida.
Why wouldn't it be 82 degrees where you are, and then like in South Florida? Do you 80 with the South Florida weather the next couple of days, you get any time to wiggle your toes in the sand at a beach and maybe smell the roses for half a second?
Yeah, you know what? I probably won't go to the beach, but I'll certainly try to get out. Get outside, go for a walk, and spend some time out there. Get some sunshine. Obviously, we all know it's healthy and good for you. And when we're not prepping the team, we'll try to take an hour or so to relax a little bit and enjoy.
Take a walk, get some of that ocean air, and construct the next great neutral zone trap nobody's seen, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Sometimes that salt air gets the brain going in a good way. So hopefully that happens.
They'll never see it coming, Coach. All right, so the game last night, man, 2:44 to go. It got weird. Puck off the boards behind Gus, then off his right leg, then Cernak with the game-winning goal. What's the read there, John? Or does it personify puck luck and Gus was making the right play? It just didn't go the right way.
Yeah, I just think it took a bad bounce. I mean, Gus had played really good for us all night long. He was actually handling the puck last night at a high level, and unfortunately, it was a bad bounce. I think he was going to play it with his stick, and then he started to see it kind of bounce, and then he tried to play it with his glove, and I would say a little bit of puck luck on their part more than a misplay on Gus's part.
Amen. And Gus had to feel awful about that fluky goal. I'm not in the room. I'm just like riding a vibe here. Did he bounce out of it okay? And I would imagine, because you guys are so close there, what a wonderfully close team this is. Great support in the room for him, or is that like too touchy-feely?
No. I think guys, you win as a team and you lose as a team, and I think guys recognize that, and that happened to be a mistake that was glaring because of the time and score of the game. But there was other mistakes that were made, and Gus has helped us win a lot of games. Sometimes when other guys have made mistakes in front of them, or I've made a mistake, or whoever is involved with the team. So it's unfortunate that it happened, but it certainly was. Sometimes that happens to really good players.
Coach, what did you make of McCarron's disallowed goal?
Well, by the letter of the law, it says if you push a player into the goalie, I felt like there was no effort to get out of the crease. Mm-hmm. I did see Vasilevsky, did make a save, and then he was gonna put his glove on top of the puck before McCarron got it and missed it. So, it's tough with the goalie interference. You can look at it 5 different ways. We study them. We try to do the best job we can to get all the calls right on our side. When they go against you, sometimes you don't have any idea what the true meaning of the interpretation of the rule is by the people that make it.
You think they make that same call in the postseason when they have a tendency to swallow whistles?
I would think possibly in that situation, yes, because there was a player pushed into the goalie, and it was a net front scrum, right? So I would think possibly in that situation, yes.
Yes, sir. So for Tampa Bay, and I don't know, man, if it's bugging me a little, it's probably bugging you more, but 24-hour rule, you got to let it go. For the Lightning, it was their 4th game in 5 nights. Their first home game off a 9-day trip with travel Monday, and you jumped them 3-1. I mean, you guys jumped them, man. They look tired. What changed after that?
Mm-hmm. Our puck management. I think that we got away from it a little bit. Just really managing the puck, putting it in good spots, being able to pressure them, be on top of them. I felt in the second period, we started to force plays offensively, and I think in any sport, if you don't win the turnover battle in football, you're going to lose. You turn the basketball over, and make ill-advised decisions and pass into traffic, you're not going to score. They're going to transition back the other way. And we had a little bit of that into our game in the middle segment, and that allowed them to, climb back into the game. So that's something we're certainly addressing.
So during the game, Husey was hit, and Nick Foligno went after Saborn. Is that something to ponder with the postseason? Because the other guys absolutely are going to come after Quinn, right?
Yeah, I think it's both ways. Yes, so they're probably going to, part of playoff hockey is you're gonna be hard on the other team's top players. So whether that's, Husey or a couple other guys on our team, that's going to happen. Now, the flip side of that is I love the response by our team. I thought we upped the ante physically throughout our lineup and really liked the answer by Nick Foligno. If you're going to do that, then you're going to have to pay a price. It's not coming for free. But the second part of that is us, being hard on the other team's top players too, and we have the ability to do that. So from that perspective in the game within the game last night, I thought that was very good.
Beautiful answer. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild. Okay, well, off that, Coach, do you think the fights in any way ignited the Lightning when you guys were completely dominating the play?
No, because we had the better of them, right? I mean, Foligno won his fight and McCarron won his fight, both of them pretty handedly.
Yeah.
So I think that didn't stoke any momentum for them. It just came down to, we wanted to get a little fancy with our play, but we had a team on the ropes and had, we were playing the game the way we need to play early, and then, we get away from it instead of just consistently pounding them for 60 minutes.
Right.
We gave them a little bit of life, but it wasn't from the fights.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, they obviously with Kucherov through Point, Vasilevskiy, I mean, they have so much high-end talent. You guys play the Lightning so very well. Beat them 5-1 earlier this season. For Tampa Bay, Darren Radish, the blue liner, he scored, had an assist. Hear me on this. You have Faber and Hughes. There's like Cale Makar, Jake Sanderson for Ottawa, Sider, Lane Hudson, young blue liners. Has the 29 and under club of defensemen ever been this good? I mean, they're all over the place, right?
Yeah, it's a unique it's a unique set of defensemen. I mean, just the way that they all can play and skate, and I think their minds for the game. They're all highly competitive, and you look at they're changing the way almost defense is played. They're such good skaters, and they're almost like a fourth forward all over the ice. And that's been it changes the dynamic of the teams that they're on at times when they're doing that, but it also changes the dynamic of the game. So it's been pretty impressive to watch.
For Joel Eriksson Ek, his first in about a week and a half, how'd he get through it? How'd he come out of it? Everything good with Eriksson Ek?
Yes, yep. I thought he got in, competed hard, got through the game, no issues. So that's a positive sign for him to get a game in and come out here. And the guy's got a little, recovery day meetings and stuff today and practice tomorrow morning and then get back at it. So all good with him as far as I know right now.
Last one here. Quinn played almost half the game. Husey played nearly half the game. He'd play a full 60 if you let him, right?
Yeah, he would. That's, sometimes you got to, he's got, listen, there's some guys that have an engine and a tank that in a game, they can play some pretty big minutes. And, Husey's one of those guys. And, he's a guy, he plays a lot of situations and, sometimes he gets roaming around in the offensive zone where we have extended shifts and sometimes that jacks the minutes up too. But, yep. Yes, he's a player that's he's got a big engine.
But potentially dumb question here, but like with the Wild, New Jersey, Nashville, whatever, do players ever wave you off? Like wave off a change at any point of a game?
No, I wouldn't say outright wave off. That wouldn't go over too well. But I would say that sometimes there are decisions on when to change. Yeah, you may have an issue with, but it's never. It's not like someone would say, "No, I'm not coming." Or not pay attention. Sometimes the decision or the timing of the change needs to happen, but hockey players are they're not like that anyways.
Lastly, I do want to get this one in. Like it was 3-3 last night, all right, and there was a style of play up to that 3-3 middle of the third period. Then everything got really conservative. Everything got had some risk averse to it, and the game kind of changed. And here's the question: whether it's you, John Cooper, or coaches around the NHL. When you have a tie game very late in a season, in the third period, sometimes do you construct it to play a certain way to try to make sure you get at least a point?
Well, I don't know. It's not necessarily constructing it to do that. I think that the awareness and the attention to detail usually picks up by both teams. You know, two good teams that have won a lot and have been good this season. You know, there's more, I think, puck management, like I talked about, and not high-risk plays. And both teams are playing. It's pretty sound defensively, you know, making it hard on the other team, and who's going to flinch first, you know, or who's going to get a bounce first. Yeah. And I think that's what was taking place last night.
Hey, good luck against the champs. Enjoy South Florida. Thanks for the chat, my man.
All right, P.A., you have a great day, man.
Yes, sir. See you later. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, and the Coach's Covenant for the first hour of the 9 to noon radio show is no longer in the air. Chris Finch started the show, Minnesota Timberwolves, howling with the homies, and there was John Hynes off a difficult loss last night to Tampa Bay. I mean, you're still 5 behind Dallas, didn't get any points. You ain't going to catch Dallas, so you got 10 to go or whatever. The Stars will have home ice in the first round. I'm just dealing with it, and let's get ready to play. But it's John's answer was cool, but elite hockey minds, that would not be me, but elite hockey minds know exactly what I'm talking about. Is when the Tampa Bay Lightning had been away from home for 9 days. That was their 4th game in 5 nights. They traveled the day before, and the body clock and just like the human nature angle it was just a little off kilter for those Lightning. And we came out there just smashing them. I mean, out shooting them, out hustling them, beating them to pucks in the corner, winning puck battles. We're up 3-1. There was a missed opportunity for Hynes' squad last night, in my estimation, to beat one of the best teams in the NHL 5-1 or worse. I mean, the Lightning were begging to get beat last night, and the Wild looked great, but they couldn't close on it. So now we take on the back-to-back champions, the Florida Panthers, tomorrow night on KFAN.
Let's play hockey!
The NFL has the owners' meetings in Arizona next week, and one of the topics involves replacement officials. And that's quite troubling if it actually gets to that point. We'll land the plane on that when we continue at KFAN.